I hope you guys are all having a great weekend. Here's our weekly watch list video. So, getting things started, going to be breaking down NQ here, and really what a strong downside move here. And just looking at this from a trend perspective, let's just draw a basic trend here where we're getting something that's like this. Now we're breaking trend, now we're coming down, now we're trying to break through this pivot, which makes me think we could come to either of these two regions right here from this weekly chart perspective. We are very, very weak, and let me break that down. Not only did we break this prior pivot from where we've been really basically trending ever since we made this move right here. However, if you look at this, and if we look a little closer, what ends up happening is we actually trigger a strong buy here that should have triggered and traded us higher. We get an indecision, we break above its high, and then we get a slam bearish engulfing here to the downside. Now, from a short perspective, the last thing you want to do is see a green bar like this on a gap up, for example, on this weekly chart that trades an inside bar. So below this low, I do think we have quite a bit of room to sell off here to the downside. And really, below 18,964, we have a ton of room down here into like the 17,000 region. So that is something that is going to be on watch here. Can we hold back below 19,47425, trigger this weekly downside move, and then get continuation selling here to the downside after such a weak day? And when you look at this from a daily chart, we tried to get a move higher. We broke above the structure, which is really a great long on Monday. Tuesday, nice follow through. Then we get the strong bearish engulfing, basically a 3-bar play, and then a massive slam lower closing right at its low. So for me, if we can hold on Monday, say come up, fail 19,47425, trigger below this prior day low, I do think we have room down into this 18,964 region. And below that, really room into this 18,219.25, which is just this 52-week low here. So you can see in terms of trend here from the daily chart, now we're starting to do something that looks similar to a pop-up here, trap people, and now we're just setting this lower high right here for then this trend to continue to the downside. So definitely a shift of sentiment. Now, the one thing I don't want to see happen is just a gap up and a hold of this region. So below this and below this prior day low, which let's look at this bar. What is that low? 19,410.50s. That is going to be the watch here for that short, for the downside down into 18,964.25s. And even when we look at something like the small caps, which have also been really, really weak here, actually made 52-week lows, where this is very, very weak here. So below 2027.90s, looking for a move down into these 2004 40s. This tried to get a rally, ultimately failed, and now it's rolling down to the downside very, very sharply here. So keeping this on watch here below 2027.90 for that downside move. Now, there's three watches. Two of them are going to be shorts, and then one is going to be the long. And really the only long of the week that I see is going to be potential on Tesla. Now, I'm not sure this is going to set up, but on a weekly chart where QQQ and all of them are slamming lower and very weak, this actually closed green. So we triggered, traded, and closed green. Now, what would invalidate this setup is any move below this low here. So that would look like a bar like this, which then no doubt this is probably the lower high off of here. Now, let's say what happens if we open up here and do something that looks like this. Then I'm much more interested in here. So a hold of 265.75 in some sort of trend strength or relative strength to the market. We do have room up into this 300.64. So that is going to be my watch here. We got pretty close here this week up into 291. Still haven't traded the 300s. But if we can hold here is the key. Again, if we break this prior weekly bar low here, I think we're probably heading lower with the market. But in terms of a relative strength name, if this can hold, then I'm much more interested in this to the long side here. So let's say we just come down here, get this pullback, back over 265.75, ideally 278.19 on Monday, and do something like this. This bar doesn't look all that crazy, right? It's nothing more than something that looks like this. but that's a move from 278 up into 300. So like a 10% move here on Tesla, those contracts would really move nicely. So why I'm even watching this in the first place is we finally got this breakout over this prior region right here. Now we're just trying to set this higher low for a potential move higher here. So watching this one for this continuation if it wants to make the move here this week. In Meta, this one's really, really weak here. And let's just break this down from basic price action perspective here. And let's go into this weekly chart here. So we tried to trade. So we have 5 bars here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Tried to trade over its high finally after selling off from the 52-week high. We push up, get people excited, boom, slam lower. And now everyone who bought up in here is essentially going to be trapped and forced to cover. So from a daily chart perspective, all this is just a lower high right here, a 3-bar play here for that short to the downside, similar to what the market's doing, and a hold below this structure right here really puts us on the table for a nice sell-off down into like this 550 region right here. So if we go here, that 550 region is really just where we gapped up. We held here, and then we held down here. So if we can get any selling pressure below this low right here, continuation selling down into then this 550 region here on Meta. And then Amazon. This is a very similar structure, a daily 3-bar play to the downside, which you'll see on a lot of these names simply because that's what the market was doing. But flipping trend tried to rally. If this wanted to actually hold and make a move, I feel like it should have held somewhere up in here, which obviously the market didn't, and that's why this rolled over. So from a weekly chart perspective, similar to Meta, where we break above its high, try higher, now we slam. So if we can hold below this low, like 190.82, watching shorts ideally down into like this 181 area below here on Amazon. And from the daily chart, that 181 area was just this prior pivot where we come down here and then we start making this uptrend move, which ultimately led to these 242.52 highs here. So anything below here, watching that continuation down into this 181 area to sell off. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy this video, if you could please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, it would be greatly appreciated. And as always, I hope you guys trade safe, and I hope you guys have a great week. Thank you.